And this time we're ready. Hey, Fritz, ready.
Welcome back. I'm Derek, and once again, it's Monday night Mad Monster Movie. So tonight we're talking mirrors. Scary mirrors, haunted mirrors, possessed mirrors. Before I knew it, I had a mirror theme going, so that's what we're doing tonight. Now to kick it off, we are on a little bit of the low budget side. We're going with 2021's Bloody Mary, or Curse of Bloody Mary. Now, I picked this movie up actually pretty cheap on DVD, and I saw it was directed by David Gregory, and at first I actually thought that was one of the founders from Severin Films, a boutique film label that restores a lot of low budget to foreign horror cinema and other movies, exploitation films, things like that, but really specialize in horror, putting them on Blu-ray 4K. I got a nice collection of theirs, but I know he's done some movies in the past, and I thought this was one of his, but I was wrong. It's actually like an industry director who kind of just like does whatever film or script comes across his desk. And I will say that that relates to the movie. It is a British film, which David Gregory Severin is English, but yeah, so it's a group of young women who are out in the woods. They're going on a health retreat, and it's apparent that two of the friend members don't actually get along. There was some issues in the past that slowly unravel as the story goes. But the other two friends are trying to bring them together through basically this retreat in the woods. Now, there's another character who's running this retreat, and we quickly realize that she is related to a couple characters that died pretty much in the beginning of the film, and it seems that she has brought our cast of characters basically to this house to sacrifice them. It's not a bad story. They do have their own take on the legend of Bloody Mary, where woman long time ago lived in the woods, lost her child, basically started killing and sacrificing people using the blood to hopefully bring her child back. Townsfolk found out, and of course she was killed, but there was a curse, of course. So now if you say her name in front of the mirror 5 times, you will summon the soul of Bloody Mary, just like the legend that we're familiar with. And that's where the lady running the health retreat basically tricks the 4 friends into playing this game all in a separate mirror. And then she just kind of books it on them. She calls another friend to come pick her up. They scoop her up, and then as she's leaving, she realizes she needs to return, has those people bring her back, and basically just brings more people to the slaughter. It's kind of messed up. A lot of death in this film, but there is some, effects or some kills that take place off screen. And why this is like a CGI, low budget, movie, I still feel like they could have maybe put something together for a few of those things, and maybe would have been a little bit more engaging. When a hand pulls somebody, or a hand reaches out of the mirror to grab someone, and we don't even see the hand, and then the hand gets chopped off with an axe, and we don't see that either. It's just like, I don't even know if we needed that scene at all, to be honest, if we couldn't even show it. So that's just my opinion. I did have fun with this movie, but I feel like, just like with the director probably not being invested in the story, just another payday, another script coming across his desk. It seemed like it had some good ideas or some cool plot points, some cool kills, just not the full follow through. Kind of like with Bloody Mary herself. I liked her face. It had a cool, cracked baby doll look, but then when you saw her hands, it looked like a young lady's hands with like nice manicured nails, and just didn't make sense. Even if we were only focusing on the face, I don't think a woman back in like the 1800s would have had manicured nails. So it just, yeah, like, you know, not all the way on the follow through. At the same time, like I said, it was fun to watch. While not being too invested in the characters initially, as shit started to go down, I did find I started to care a little bit, at least about the two characters that were fighting. So, you know, not a bad story all in all. I would give it 4 out of 10 possessed mirrors, and that is Curse of Bloody Mary or just Bloody Mary from 2021. Now, next films are actually kind of what kicked all of this off. Movie I did not watch this week was 2014's Oculus, and I was watching this, you know, probably about a month ago, and I was thinking like, wait, there's a kill in here I thought I remembered and I'm not seeing, and that's where it's like, oh yeah, there was another mirror-based horror movie. And that's where I got Mirrors from 2008 starring Kiefer Sutherland. Now, this movie, I know I only watched when it first came out, and clearly I forgot about it. Watching it again, I can see why you know, I forgot it. Not to say it's a forgettable movie, but it's not necessarily a standout movie. While it does have Kiefer Sutherland in it, it also has Amy Smart. You know, they're not really elevating the movie, to be honest. You know, it's a story of a mall that had a tragedy many years ago, basically caught fire, and stuff with the insurance companies going on. We don't know if they're going to rebuild the mall or not. So there's a security team that's hired to patrol the grounds day and night, oddly, and that's where Kiefer Sutherland comes in, as he's a, you know, washed up ex-drunk detective who's taken a job as a security guard to try to get his shit back together so he can see his kids again. Even with all that, I really didn't feel much connection with the characters. But basically, as you know, nights are going on, Kiefer Sutherland's character is starting to see things in the mirror. They're escalating to where he's seeing like burnt corpses in the mirror. And, you know, initially it's making me think like, okay, we have the trapped spirits from the tragedy of the mall catching fire, like that trauma has been trapped in the mirrors and is now reflecting the trauma back onto people and causing people's reflections to then kill themselves. We do get a really cool death with Amy Smart, spoiler alert, where she like rips her own jaw off, and that's actually the death that I was remembering in Oculus, that it's like, wait, where's the jaw ripping scene? That's Amy Smart. Watching it back again though, it is pretty heavy on the CGI, but I like how, you know, it takes place in the bathtub and kind of her body afterwards. You know, it does bring a little bit more to the film. I like that. But as the movie goes on, come the third act, we're actually realizing that it's not spirits trapped in the mirror, more it was one person who was possessed and being exorcised of her demons was releasing them into mirrors, and the demons have then ever since been searching for that little girl to repossess her body, and anybody not able to help at the mall ends up dying. So that's where Kiefer Sutherland is on the track using his detective skills to hunt this person down and, you know, hopefully try to stop this entity. You know, there's a lot going on this was almost a 2-hour movie, and I felt like if they would have shaved about 20 minutes off of it, I would have maybe enjoyed it a little bit more. I did find myself kind of getting lost again, so I could see why I forgot it, you know, over a decade later. But all in all, I was happy to find this movie again. It was a fun watch. It does have Kiefer Sutherland in it, although I'm not personally a huge fan of his. I'm not a huge fan of Lost Boys. I know sacrilege for being a horror fan, but nah. So yeah, I would give this one 5 out of 10 possessed mirrors, but I would give it a watch. Now, I did get a good deal on this through eBay where I got 1 and 2. So our next movie up is 2010's Mirrors 2. Now this one doesn't necessarily have a lot to do with the first movie outside of the fact a new Mayflower Mall is opening, and apparently there's a mall that was salvaged, or there was a mirror that was salvaged from the first mall. You know, of course, I thought all the mirrors broke. We kind of see that happen, but what do I know? It's a sequel. So outside of that, it doesn't really have anything to do with it, because this movie is more of a trapped soul or a traumatic event being trapped in a mirror, basically looking for revenge. We do have Nick Stahl starring in this movie, and I actually know him from the show Carnival. Back on HBO, came out in the 2000s, of like a carnival in the 1920s, 1930s. You know, freaks, sideshow acts traveling, magic, story of good and evil. It was a cool story. He later turned up being John Connor in Terminator 3. Not necessarily a good movie, but he does star as someone struggling with trauma as his fiance was killed in a car wreck, and as he tries to get his shit back together, he takes the job as a night watchman at the new Mayflower Mall, where he starts to see things happen in the mirror as well, and we also see some cool deaths in this one. Now this film is also CGI, but I feel like there was some practical used in this as well. I don't know for sure. If there wasn't practical effects used, then I would say that the CGI was actually pretty decent looking then. But the first death, we get the reflection of a security guard breaking his flashlight, picking the glass up, and eating said glass, where it then is like shredding his cheeks and going down his throat, and I was just like, no thank you. The second death, we see a lady kind of fall back through a shower glass door, and then she's stepping on glass, and I'm someone with kind of like sensitive feet, so I'm like, no. And then next we see someone's heel getting cut, where they're cutting their own heel not once but twice, and I'm like, because I just find, like, honestly, the older I get, the more like certain injuries to the body I can really relate to. You know, when I was younger, in my teens, early 20s, it was like, bring it on. I can't get enough death and gore. And while I still love it, there are some things that just make me go, and I think it's just more like as life happens, you know, you actually experience pain. I've been to the dentist. I know what trauma like that feels like, having pain in your mouth. So while I haven't ate glass before, I can relate to having, like, you know, pain in your gums and your teeth. You know, same with like your heel. Never had someone slice my heel open, but I've definitely smacked my heel. I've had soccer injuries back in the day, and like, yeah, those hurt. So just seeing things like that, they did a good job of, like, you know, sensory overload of like the 1, 2, 3 first kills were all kind of like, for me. So it was fun. I enjoyed that in the film. Kind of lost a little bit of traction after that. Of the next death was like a pizza cutter wheel on the face. Is just goofy. Side fact, the movie Night Shift, the cover of that with the you know, pentagram demon face, I always thought they kind of did that with a pizza roller, like the demon cut their own face up. But yeah, segue. So, this film is fun. We find out basically a worker at the mall was taken advantage of and murdered, and her soul is like taking revenge on all these people. So we see like the people that are dying. It's kind of like, oh yeah, no, you deserve it. Yeah, that actually could have been more painful. So, yeah, fun movie. Mirrors 2, I actually liked more than Mirrors. I would give this one 6 out of 10 possessed mirrors. Now, little honorable mentions before we get into the main movie tonight. A couple are mirror movies that I did not watch this week, and then a couple are other movies that I did watch, they just don't match our theme. So as far as movies that match with our mirror theme, we have Mirror Mirror and Mirror Mirror 2. Now, I do not have Mirror Mirror 3, but Mirror Mirror 2 and 3, I believe, are still stuck on VHS, while there is a disc copy of Mirror Mirror. I just only have them on VHS. Now, Mirror Mirror is a film starring Rainbow Harvest, which is a delightful goth princess, and Karen Black, which is a horror queen, starring as the mother. This is a movie directed by a woman, written by a woman, predominantly woman cast, also Yvonne DiCarlo, who is Lily Munster from the original Munsters. It's a cool film. It's got a really awesome possessed like black magic mirror. We get some cool deaths in it. I will say it is a long movie, but it does a really good job of building character. So I would say if you have a chance to check out Mirror Mirror, definitely give this one a watch. I actually have not watched this film. I probably should have watched it this week for the theme, but I just didn't get around to it. Now, a couple movies I did watch. I was doing some work in the movie room this week, and I popped in Mutator just to have on in the background. This was like a fun science fiction, genetic lab experiment gone wrong. Beast breaks out and starts killing everyone in the lab, and scientists and military people have to come together. Loving story to kill the monster. To be honest, I didn't catch this whole film as I was doing stuff around the room, but with all the TVs in here, I definitely caught a lot of this film. I caught some cool kills in it. It was fun, but I would say sitting down and actually watching it all the way through would be a cool idea. Now, the other film I watched this week that was not really related was Bigfoot the movie. Now, this is a low-budget schlock fest, basically. It's definitely a guy in a costume. My opinion, some of these Bigfoot movies can be pretty ridiculous, but I actually kind of like this one. The cast of characters were annoying, but became funny annoying as the movie went on, and actually did slightly get involved with the characters in the story. Goofy movie. If you like Bigfoot movies, I know it's on Amazon Prime, check it out. Now, the main film tonight is a film I've actually watched several times, and once I realized we had a theme going, I popped it back in because I just wanted to watch it, and it matched Mirrors. That is 1981's Boogey Man. Now, the Boogey Man is directed by Yuli Lama, and it actually stars his wife Susanna Love and her brother Nicholas Love. They actually play a brother and sister in the movie, which is kind of funny. But basically, they kind of rip on Halloween in the beginning, as we have a brother and sister being kicked out of the house while their mom's trying to get some from her boyfriend. We get a real mother of the year here who kicks her little kids outside in the middle of the night, and gets all drunk on whiskey, and has her boyfriend, who never says a word, put her pantyhose over his head, and then gets mad when the kids are spying in the window and see the boyfriend with the pantyhose on. So then the boyfriend ties the little boy up. I mean, he ties him up, and the mom just getting drunk laughing. So the little sister, she cuts her brother out, and then he takes the knife and, as is tradition, stabs the boyfriend to death while him and the mom are getting it on. The little girl witnesses all of this via the mirror in the mom's bedroom. And it obviously traumatizes her, because we flash forward to years later where she's grown up and she's Susanna Love, our main actress, and she has a family of her own, but she's having trauma and nightmares of, basically this death that she witnessed. So her husband, trying to do the right thing, forces her to revisit her childhood home, who just so happens is up for sale, and the teenage kids are left home alone with their little brother, and it's an open house, so they're just like, oh yeah, no questions asked, come on in, help yourself, look around. If you want the furniture, let us know, you can have it too. And it just so happens the mirror's still in the bedroom. The little girl, Susanna Love, she goes into the bedroom by herself and actually sees the image of the dead boyfriend, just chilling in the bed with the pantyhose still on his head. Just imagine if you were murdered trying to get some, and your soul's forever trapped with pantyhose on its head. At least he was able to lay in the bed. He wasn't stuck in an awkward position or whatever, but the pantyhose, maybe he just liked it. I don't know. But anyway, she freaks out, she breaks the mirror, and thus releasing his spirit, the pantyhose killer, as he then becomes. And it's any little piece of this mirror is projecting his spirit or his power out, and he's then able to commit murder. So there's a little piece, of course, is left in the house. The husband says, we're gonna take this mirror, and thinks he's gonna force therapy on his wife, which shitbag move. But after they leave, the teenage kids and their little brother are quickly all killed off. And kudos to the movie for killing the little kid. Kind of a funny scene where he pokes his head in the window and yells, "Boogey Man!" right as the window smashes his skull down and blood splatters. So thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, so we do get a couple kills that happen off screen, but we do get some cool action where basically the spirit is projected clear across the lake, and a couple of kids are having a cookout. One guy goes to load the car up. He's sitting in the car where the sun is reflecting off of the mirror, reflecting into the car across the lake, and there the spirit of the killer then drives what looks like a needle point through this guy's head, sticking out of his mouth. So his girlfriend comes to check on him. She peeks in the car. As she's looking in, the head turns at the same time the car door shuts and hits her in the butt, forcing her face onto his mouth, and it's a kiss kill. Pretty cool, as they're shish kebab together, and then the other characters think they're just making out in the car and end up driving off, making fun of them. So kind of funny, unique kill. These kids, no idea what's going on, and then they're just randomly killed, kissing each other. Then again, probably, blue balls rage from our killer, as he was killed trying to get some from the mom, and the little boy wasn't having it. So he's hey, you two, no thank you. But anyway, at the end, we get Susanna Love's character basically has a piece of mirror monocle, eyeglass, and then her exorcism powers or exorcist powers are amplified as she's melting a priest's face and throwing her husband all around. There's a wild ending to this, and then even when we think the movie's over, there's still more. This was a pretty cool movie. I've seen it before. I I liked watching it again. While it is low budget, while it is maybe a little on the cheesy side, we do have John Carradine as like a relationship therapist in it, which honestly is just awkward. I don't know if we really need that in the movie. Again, probably another movie where if we shave some time off of it, maybe would pack a little bit more of a punch, but at the same time, I do enjoy this one. I've seen some other films by Yuli Lama, like Olivia, which also star his wife, but you know, they don't really catch me. Really, I'd say Boogey Man for me. But I would give this one 8 out of 10 possessed mirrors. If you guys get a chance, give this one a watch. I really had fun with this guy. Now, they do actually have a sequel for this movie I'm gonna give a shout out for real quick, and that's Boogey Man 2. Now, why I have not seen this film, it sounds like they do what Scream 2 did before Scream 2, where Scream 2 has the production of Stab filming a recreation of the events of the first movie. That's where Boogey Man 2 apparently takes place on a movie set where they're filming a movie about the events of the first one. Again, I really should have watched this one this week, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually forgot I even had this until I was getting ready to put this video together, and I pulled it out to at least give it an honorable mention. So, Boogey Man, give these ones a watch, not to be confused with the 2005 Boogey Man movie that then I think spanned like another 5 movies, which I have actually not seen. And talking about this one made me want to look out for Boogey Man, kind of like how I went to check out for Mirrors. So keep an eye out for a future video as we might get down on the Boogey Man. But until next time, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video. If any of you guys have seen these films, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. If you have some favorite kills, tell me which ones they are. Or if you end up checking any of these films out, let me know in the comments section. But until next week, everyone, stay spooky.
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. There's a souvenir for you.